Good morning guys and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be doing a review of the newest release from Kayali, which is Fleur Majesty Rose Royale 31. If you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts on this new release, then stay tuned. And if you guys didn't see my last video in which I did a small makeup declutter, you can check that out. That was my most recently uploaded video. I also shared with you my thoughts on going for a female solo trip to Mexico, which I just completed. So if you're interested in either of those things, that is in my last video. And without further ado, let's get started in today's perfume review. Good morning guys, welcome back. Today's video we're going to be reviewing the newest Kayali perfume release, which is Fleur Majesty Rose Royale 31. So this perfume was sent to me, for full disclaimer. As always, my opinions are going to be very unbiased and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very honest. Like, I guess I'm still on their PR list, obviously, because they keep on sending me PR, but I don't really review perfumes anymore as like my normal gig. I will be honest with you guys, sometimes I miss it and sometimes I want to get back into it. I want to get back into collecting and reviewing because for the simple fact that it was a fun hobby. It was a fun hobby, and because I've been getting more into this whole like antique thing, I've been actually looking for like buffet hutches and china cabinets and stuff like that, and I thought, it crossed my mind that if I had a buffet hutch or a china cabinet, like a beautiful old antique china cabinet, that would be a really great place to store perfumes and to display perfumes. It would be kind of a fun way to do that. However, still somewhere deep within my soul, I still don't desire like a large perfume collection. Also, I think back to like the number of perfumes I have owned over the years, and I just think if I was to restart a perfume collection, there's quite a few of those perfumes that I would consider bringing back, which might be a fun experiment, you know, and it would be one of those real-time situations where, you know, when people say, if I had to start over from scratch, what would I buy first? This would be a literal, real-life moment of that. It would be, if I was starting a collection over from scratch, where would I start? What would I bring back first? What would be the first perfumes I would want to invite back? In that breath, there's actually a lot of perfumes that I got rid of that I wouldn't bring back. There's a lot that, you know, looking back, I'm like, yeah, I didn't really love that one that much. Sometimes even to this day, there are a couple perfumes that I think, you know, I wouldn't mind having that perfume back again. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but I just wanted to let you guys know, you know, sometimes I do miss it. Sometimes I think about going back. Also because on this channel, you know, I know that I kind of focus on a little bit of everything. I do home decor and decluttering and a little bit of beauty, a little bit of fashion, a little bit of, you know, organization and stuff like that. And I know that that's fine too, but it was nice to have a niche. It was nice to have a specific niche hobby, which was the perfumes. And makeup is something I don't want to, you know, I don't want to grow a huge makeup collection either. So as much as I don't mind reviewing, or I like reviewing makeup too, it's not really where my heart is. I enjoy makeup, but it's not something that I feel like is my particular best niche that I want to focus on. So, but sometimes I do miss reviewing perfume. The point I was getting at is that I didn't really realize, nor have I cared to be on any perfume PR lists, because I am not working on growing a collection and I don't review perfumes on a regular basis anymore. That being said, I'm still grateful that they choose to send me their new releases so I can review them for you guys. It's nice to be able to try them. It's definitely a luxury to be able to receive a $150 or $200 bottle of perfume in the mail every couple months to try out their new products. It is nice. I'm not super impressed with this particular launch. I'll get into that in a minute. Also, I wish that when they sent out PR, they would not send out a huge PR package. You guys should see the PR packages that Kayali sends out. They are insane. The amount of waste, the amount of paper and cardboard and plastic and other odds and ends that they send that literally make their way just into the trash because nobody wants them. I'm certainly not going to use them. A lot of times they're hard to recycle. It's just very wasteful. Like, for example, with their vacation perfumes that they sent out, they sent me a giant blow up. I think it was a giant like blow up thing that said Kayali on it, and they also sent a beach towel, fake passports, like fake boarding passes to go to all the destinations that were associated with their perfumes. It was in a giant box. This time for this release, they sent me a literal, I think it was this release, they sent me a literal teacup set, like teacups and saucers and a huge gigantic deck of Kayali playing cards. Like, it just is excessive. It's too much, and it does not need to be sent out. I think the only people who would be excited about opening those kind of PR packages are very young people, or people who are just getting into the industry and they're just newly excited they're receiving PR. I can't think of another person who needs that stuff, and I really wish they would significantly reduce their PR package. Like, you can literally just send out the bottle of perfume and that's enough. It does not need to be any more extravagant than that. And it actually makes me sick to my stomach to think that, like, I'm a pretty small creator. I'm just one out of, hundreds of thousands or even millions. And how many of those packages get sent out worldwide that all of that stuff just ends up in the trash, you guys? It's just kind of terrible and it's kind of sad. So anyway, with that out of the way, those are kind of my thoughts to preface today's video. I know that there are a lot of people who initially started following my channel for the perfume reviews, for this whole niche, this whole like subcategory. And was it fun and enjoyable? Yes. Could I afford to get back into it and do it again and start buying perfumes? Yes, I could. And I have had a lot of people write me on Instagram too. Like, every so often I'll get people writing saying, I really miss your perfume content. Can you please start reviewing perfumes again? I would love if you would start reviewing perfumes again. And so it's something I'm considering. It was a great hobby. I enjoyed it for a long time. It just became overwhelming, and being in the YouTube space in general, and all of the obligations and the deadlines and the pressure from companies and the companies I was working with, and the fact that part of me wanted to work with these companies, but then once I saw that it wasn't all that glamorous as I thought it was going to be, and it wasn't all that fun, and it just felt like a lot of pressure and a lot of work, and it really took the joy out of reviewing perfumes for me. So, I kind of took like 10 steps back from that space, and part of me feels like I'd be starting over right from square one, right from scratch, which I really would be, but there's also kind of like a funness in that, kind of a new adventure in that as well. But if I were to do that, if I was to ever do that, and it's something I do think about from time to time, it would have to be, I'd have to keep it so private, I'd have to keep it so like disengaged from corporate, like from working with companies and stuff like that, which is actually more authentic anyway, if it's just a single person growing their collection and not, having this obligation to review for certain companies or share certain perfumes. All of that preamble out of the way, let's get started in this perfume. To be honest, you guys, I'm not super motivated to review it because I didn't buy it myself. I don't love it. I don't love this perfume, and because I'm just not in the perfume niche right now. So it's kind of like, I was like, do I even bother? But I know there's quite a few people out there who would like to hear my thoughts on this fragrance, and there are a couple things I do want to tell you before you rush out and buy it. All right, so to begin, this is the bottle of the newest Kayali release, the Fleur Majesty Rose Royale 31. As usual, they do have a few of the key notes on the back. I'm going to actually read for you all of the notes that are in the perfume, so we'll ignore that for now. And it comes in this really beautiful sort of ombre effect bottle that starts out with a light, bright, cool-toned pink, and then works its way down to a nice purple at the bottom. And it's got the signature crystal Kayali cap, and this does have the beautiful signature Kayali atomizer as well, which I know in the past people were saying that they thought the atomizers weren't as good as they once were. In my experience, this is still just as good of an atomizer as they ever have been. I currently don't have any Kayali perfumes in my collection at all. Still, my favorite Kayali perfumes to date are Vanilla 28, and also I really liked the Royal Patchouli, Royal Vanilla Sugared Patchouli. That was one of my favorites as well. That one to me smelled very expensive, very sophisticated, very extravagant, had a little bit of oud. I loved it. It was great. If you didn't go too heavy-handed, it smelled absolutely divine, and it is still floating around, and I think they might have brought it back at some point as a limited edition, but anyways, I do really like that fragrance, and if I was collecting, I would still probably have that perfume. If I still wanted a larger collection, I would definitely still have those two perfumes. Yeah, so currently I don't have any Kayali perfumes, but this has all of the signature things that we love about Kayali perfumes and Kayali perfume bottles. So this is described on Fragrantica as being a rose, floral, sweet, fresh, fruity, powdery, citrus, violet, vanilla, and musky fragrance. It was just released this year. And from what it says on Fragrantica, people have sort of mixed opinions. Some people really don't like it. A few people, the majority of people really, really like it, but not a huge percentage absolutely love it. So the notes that you have in here in the opening are pear, peach, mandarin, and orange. In the middle, you have rose, peony, violet, and magnolia. And in the base, you have musk, vanilla, praline, ambrox, and vetiver. So let's go ahead and take off the cap here. That's what the bottle looks like without the cap. Really beautiful. I'll show you what it looks like when you spray it in a moment. And I do not have perfume smelling strips here. I'm just going to spray it in the box. So let's go ahead and spray this, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly my thoughts. And I have not watched any other perfume reviews on this fragrance, so everything I say today is completely from my own head. I haven't picked up anything from what other people have said, just so that you guys are aware that something that I prefer to do is not to watch perfume reviews of other reviewers, because I want to form my own thoughts. I don't want to have any preconceived notions. I don't even follow Kayali on Instagram, so I didn't even see the PR for this. I didn't even know there was another perfume coming out. So let's go ahead and just spray it in the box here, and I'll tell you my thoughts. And I'll tell you what I thought very first when I smelled it. Okay, you guys, so this smells very similar, not exactly the same, but very similar to Delina exclusive from Parfum de Marly. If you have never smelled Delina or Delina exclusive from Parfum de Marly, and you can go to a Sephora and smell this, congratulations, now you have a pretty good idea what Delina and Delina exclusive smell like. The difference is that Delina exclusive, so okay, first of all, Delina exclusive, and I'm not trying to make this a comparison video, but that's the best comparison I can make if you've never smelled those perfumes or if you have smelled them. They center around rhubarb. They are rhubarb, rose, vanilla, woody fragrances. This one has pear in the opening, not rhubarb. So this is missing that like signature sort of tart rhubarb component that makes Delina and Delina exclusive so very interesting and unique, and gives it that very distinct Delina signature scent that has been tried to be duped by many companies. All of the dupe companies, all of the perfume sort of inspired by companies ultimately try to recreate Delina exclusive because of their popularity. I have owned about 5 or 6 Parfum de Marly fragrances at this point. I've owned Delina exclusive, Delina Le Rosé. I don't have any of them left over. My favorite one from Parfum de Marly was Delina exclusive, so was the one that this one smells the most like. The difference between Delina and Delina exclusive is Delina exclusive was woodier and had more vanilla and was stronger. It was creamier, it was richer. The original Delina was more tart and fresh and juicy and more bright smelling and more thin and clear and crisp, not as rich and woody and vanillic as Delina exclusive. So this, very similar to Delina exclusive. I'm picking up in here. So basically, you guys, this is a fruity, powdery, very pretty rose fragrance. It has a little bit of vanilla in it. It does have kind of a bit of a muskiness, like an overwhelming sort of a muskiness that I'm picking up from it. It's very, very pretty. This is kind of like Delina exclusive's younger sister, or Delina exclusive's younger, more fun-loving cousin, who hasn't become as mature, as knowledgeable, as worldly, as sophisticated. If Delina exclusive is a very polished, well-rounded, like mature, sophisticated, elegant woman, and she's fully come into her own, she's in the prime of her life, this is like the younger sister that's still in university version of Delina exclusive. It isn't as thick, it isn't as creamy. It has more of like this purple quality, maybe from the violet. I think there's violet in here, they said. It has a little bit more of this kind of sweet, bright violet touch to it, less of that sort of woody, vanilla, oody kind of accord that's in Delina exclusive. Also doesn't have the rhubarb, of course. This centers around pear. So because it centers around pear, it's a little bit more mass-pleasing, I would say, where if you were to show Delina exclusive to a crowd of people, as much as there are some perfume reviewers that will say that Delina is one of the best perfumes of all time, and it is, I think honestly it deserves all the awards and all of the recognition that it has received. Delina exclusive were very unique. Now they're so duped. But if you were to show them to a crowd of people, I would be willing to say, even though they are incredible, I don't think they're super mass pleasing. Not a lot of people love that rhubarb, rose, vanilla, woody, musky accord. Not a lot of people do. It just isn't as mass pleasing as some of the other perfumes that are out there. So I think because they haven't done rhubarb here, and honestly, if they had put rhubarb in here, you guys, I would call this a straight up inspired by dupe. However, you cannot tell me that whoever was working on this perfume has not smelled Delina and Delina Exclusive, and you cannot tell me that they didn't see the similarity. This to me is very much inspired by. I don't know how you can say that this isn't somehow an inspired by perfume. I would say if you want the vibes of Delina and Delina Exclusive, more so Delina Exclusive, okay, this one's going more in that direction. If you want the vibes of Delina Exclusive, if you want Delina Exclusive, but you don't want to pay the price tag. If you've always wanted to try it, but you don't want to pay for it and you have no way to try it, but you can access the Kayali perfumes, get this, you are going to get the same vibes, the same feeling, pretty much the same scent almost as Delina Exclusive, but without paying the price tag. So yeah, if that's something that you've always wanted, is to smell like that, but you don't want to get like a dupe version or an inspired by version, and you want that kind of vibe and you want to smell like luxurious and regal and rosy, then this is a good one to go with. I will say this one definitely smells a little bit more soapy to my nose. It's a little bit soapy. The rose is very prominent. I do get quite a bit of vanilla. I do get sort of this purple powderiness that you would find in a lot of other violet perfumes. It's not overwhelmingly powdery. It's not like lipstick makeup compact powdery. Like, it's not citrusy really. It's fairly fresh, but it has a depth to it as well. It does smell multifaceted and complex. It smells interesting. It smells like a job well done. But it also just smells so much like Delina Exclusive that I can't say, wow, this is such a standout, great perfume, because we already have this. Like, we already have this in Delina Exclusive. If you already have Delina Exclusive, you definitely don't need this. If you have Delina, I also don't really think you need this unless you want something that's got a little bit more vanilla in it. But I still think Delina Exclusive is a higher quality smelling perfume. It's just better. It's just done better. And in my opinion, when you're going to have a perfume that is so close to another one, it needs to be pretty darn good, or it needs to be totally different, because people are going to draw the same conclusions that it's similar to Delina Exclusive. And I don't know, my first impression is that it's kind of icky to me that they, obviously the perfumers have smelled all of the great perfumes in the world. They obviously have. And the resemblance is uncanny. And it's a little bit icky to me that it seems that they've copied that DNA a little bit. I'm just going to say it. And for people who have never smelled Delina or Delina Exclusive, I think it's really a shame, because they're going to, they might fall in love with this perfume and think, wow, it's so great, so interesting, it's so unique, it's so different, it's so beautiful. But if they haven't smelled like the OG, it's doing a great disservice to the perfumer who created. In fact, I want to know, are they the same perfumer and they just did this for both companies? I wonder. But yeah, it's kind of doing a disservice, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like when there's a handbag that completely copies the designer version, but makes a tiny little change and then capitalizes on it. It's just very obvious. It's very obvious. There's maybe nothing wrong with it, but it's very obvious. And it's kind of like, come up with your own stuff, Do I like this perfume? It's not bad. I still think Delina Exclusive is an absolute masterpiece and much better, but I can't wear that perfume anymore. It's too strong for me. It's too heavy, and it bothers me. The Delina Exclusive is just so powerful, and same with Delina. It's just too much, and I just can't handle wearing it. They kind of bother me and give me a bit of a headache. This perfume also gives me a headache. I find it too strong. I actually did wear it throughout the day for one day. I couldn't wear it any more than that because it bothered me so much. It smells lovely on the skin. It is a really beautiful fragrance. I can say that objectively, it's a beautiful fragrance. Subjectively for me, I don't love it anymore. I don't love this scent profile anymore, this scent DNA, and it gives me a really bad headache. But if you're looking for a cheaper version, a less sophisticated, less expensive version that isn't a straight up proclaimed inspired by dupe house of Delina Exclusive, check it out. I would say you're getting about 80% to 90% similarity in the fragrance. This one, more green, more fresh, more musky, probably less vanilla, less woody. And then they don't have rhubarb, they got juicy pear. So that's where you are seeing the difference. I'm not super impressed with it. I didn't love the PR package. I would not purchase this myself. I would probably really love this. I would probably be obsessed with it because it is so different and unique and interesting and pretty. But it actually isn't because we already have it. Like if I had never smelled the Parfum de Marly's, this would be a standout. But because I've already smelled Parfum de Marly, this just looks like a copycat. And I don't love it. To be honest, I'm not super impressed with a lot of Kayali's releases. I think that they push out perfumes too quickly and that cheapens them a little bit. They're constantly pushing out a new fragrance and it's almost as if they just sort of just settle on recipes. Like they come up with a new perfume like every couple months or a set of perfumes and that reduces the exclusivity. And then I guess to think about their market, like they are marketed toward a younger demographic. They are very popular. They've got a huge social media following. Their marketing is amazing. So they are pretty popular among a younger demographic, and that explains why they pump out so many new. They're kind of like a Sol de Janeiro type of thing. Like every perfume they come out with is going to get hype, and every perfume they come out with is going to get purchased, and people are going to rave about it, and they're going to do all these reviews about it, and it's going to get lots of publicity. Whereas something like, I don't know, Creed, but something like, for example, Diptyque, Maison Cyr, or Van Cleef & Arpels even, some of these other houses, they're not constantly pumping out new fragrances, but everything they come out with is a masterpiece in its own right. Even the exclusive fragrances like Chanel's Les Exclusifs, they just came out with Comet. It was great. They're not constantly coming out with a new perfume. Although I even feel these days like Chanel is pushing out more perfumes than they ever used to, which is kind of sad versus just having iconic fragrances. I really think that when a company has something iconic, they should just stick with it and not keep coming out with new things, because all it does is make them less exclusive, more easily accessible. Not that it's bad to be accessible, but it decreases the demand, it increases how popular and how accessible they are, and also just cheapens uniqueness and the exclusiveness of some of their fragrances. Like if Kayali had just had their initial, 4 perfumes and Kayali 28 was one of those perfumes, it would still be iconic, it would still be mass purchased, everybody would love it, people would keep repurchasing, and then they could come up with a new perfume maybe once a year, once every couple years even would be sufficient, but really focus on it, really make it a masterpiece, really make it something interesting and great and unique. And I just think that they have just become so watered down in terms of how many perfumes that they have, I've lost track at this point. It's like it's just all done for another dollar for capitalization. It's just too much. I think it's just too much. Even like the Armani Privé perfumes and the Yves Saint Laurent exclusive fragrances like Baby Cat. Baby Cat was an utter masterpiece, and it has been duped now by so many companies. You've got all of these Arabic perfume companies that are now duping all of these popular perfumes. Baccarat Rouge was a household name. Now Baccarat Rouge, that DNA is in so many other perfumes and it's been duped beyond belief, and it just is, it's a shame to me when people do that. It's like, yes, it was an incredible DNA. It was an incredible scent. Let it be that. Let that company have that. It just cheapens it so much when you can go anywhere now and you can smell Baccarat Rouge, for example, but 9 times out of 10, it's not Baccarat Rouge. They got a dupe from somewhere. They got Ariana Grande Cloud. They got an Arabic dupe. They got some sort of dupe house clone. It's just very sad because now you're like, it's the same thing that's happening with like luxury goods, luxury handbags. Nobody cares about the real thing because there's so many fakes out there now. So the specialty, the luxury factor is going down the drain because of things like this, where you can just find cheaper, inspired by versions and imitated versions and almost but not quite versions. And why would you pay the real price? Why would it be so exclusive anymore? Yeah, so it's not that special anymore, and I think that's what I loved about having a perfume collection when I did, was I really loved the fact that I had the original. When I had a perfume collection, I loved that I had the original Baccarat Rouge, the original Delina exclusive, the original fragrances from, Baby Cat. I had Baby Cat from Yves Saint Laurent. I had Maison Cyr. I've owned so many perfumes at this point. Initio fragrances. I owned like 10 Tiziana Terenzi fragrances. I owned Clive Christian. I've owned Royal Crown. Is it called Royal Crown Sultan? I owned that one. Like, I've just had so many incredible fragrances at this point that on one hand, I see that they're not essential and they're not that special or important, but also I see like how great it is to have the original thing versus a dupe or a clone. It is a nice perfume. It is a really nice perfume. It gives me a headache. I don't love the scent because I'm kind of over the scent profile, but that was my immediate impression when I smelled it, was that it was a very obvious inspired by of Delina exclusive. So, you know, if I was a perfume company and my perfumer presented to me a fragrance for us to sell, a new fragrance that was very similar to an already popular perfume, like very similar to Baccarat Rouge, very similar to Delina exclusive, where people would smell it and go, oh, that smells just like this, I would say, no, go back to the drawing board, bring me something unique, bring me something that hasn't been done, bring me something different, make it so that people are not going to smell it and think, oh, that's, you know, a dupe of this other perfume, because that's insulting. All it shows is that you lack creativity and you can't come up with your own thing. It's just not a good look. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this perfume. I will not be keeping it. And yeah, that's my thoughts for today's video.